Hey buds! Today we're going to go over 5 tips to help you with organizing your forage treasures. And for me, that means organizing my grandmother's china cabinet. So number 1 is label, label, label. I have my excuses, but honestly, I am horrible at labeling. And from my garden plants to my forage finds, I often end up with mystery items. And as much as I might pretend that I enjoy the brain teasers, in reality, you should just always label. So at least the common name and a date would be best, but learning the scientific name of plants is also an excellent practice. So I would encourage you to include that as well. And these are the labels that I will be using. If you would like to modify them for your own organizing, I will put them up on deepwoodsdietitian.com for you to download. Finally, I would also mention that these chalk markers make a pretty easy temporary label, and they are great for people even as bad as me. So tip number 2 is to coordinate your inner squirrel. I kid you not, I found 8 or 9 mini stashes of dandelion root throughout this cabinet and my tea cupboard when I was cleaning things out. Charles, I found dandelion root. Charles, I found dandelion root.
More?
Guess what, Charles? I found some dandelion root.
Even more?
It's a good thing we love it. You know what I think this is? Dandelion root.
Even more. I can't believe you stashed away like everywhere.
So I am a huge fan of dandelion chai and cocoa, and I will link to our previous episode if you want to know how to make those. But if you follow step number 1 and you have a labeled jar for your favorite forage finds, then hopefully your inner squirrel will find it and you will have a better idea of how much of a certain item that you have on hand. These were pleasant surprises, even if they did show how ridiculous I am. Sometimes I add in a desiccant package just to make sure there's no moisture in there that's going to spoil all the goodies. And gives them repurposing. I think this one's from a COVID test. May as well use it again. So tip number 3 is to consider your shelf life. So when you are on site in the field, you are going to make different assessments as to whether you should pick something or not and how much of it you should gather at that time. But in general, you don't want to collect more than you're going to use before the next growing season. This is because most dried and frozen items tend to start losing quality after about a year. Roots are the exception, and they sometimes will last a bit longer than that. As to the quality of your current materials, you can always check on them using your senses. See if the color's still vibrant, if they have a scent, and taste it. See how the flavor is holding up. So tip number 4 is standardizing your containers. So you can see that in my past attempt, I did try to repurpose random containers from throughout the house. But unfortunately, that system didn't work so well with my brain chemistry. And I am switching over to containers that I can see through because I think that'll work better for me. And they don't have to be fancy containers, even just canning jars are a great option, and they come in a variety of sizes and are fairly inexpensive. But if it works for you, you can always use whatever containers around the house that you want to collect that are similar and you use lots of. Maybe that's salsa jars, maybe that's coffee cans, whatever it is, make it work for you. Just don't forget that label. So tip number 5 is on ease of access and joy giving. For successful space, you need easy access to all of your treasures and equipment. But on a Marie Kondo note, you want it to be displayed clearly and also in a way that gives you joy. You want to make your place your happy space. So on that note, I have a basket that just makes me smile when I look at it, and I had been keeping it in here thinking that it would be dust-free and safe, but in reality, I didn't see it a whole lot, and so I'm moving it to a new space that is viewable from my seat at the kitchen, and hopefully it will make me smile every day now. Similarly, I had my little birch basket in here and I found I wasn't using it as much this summer because it just wasn't as accessible, and I'm moving it to the closet by the front door so that I'll take it out with me more often. So just avoid clutter, modify what's not working for you, and make sure to stick to your system when you're moving forward. And just as a bonus tip, I wanted to say that thoughtful homemade gifts are an awesome idea. I love these homemade cookbooks that my mother and my aunt made for me, and they will always have a special place in my home. And you can also go with other gifts like tea blends or bath salt or a jar of jelly. They're just really thoughtful gifts that you can't get anywhere else. They provide a unique experience and they leave them wanting more. And if anyone gets dandelion root for me this year, you must know that I really love you. Oh, and this is really neat. My mom made me these. They're little cards that I used to pick one week and put it up in my office. So maybe I'll have to start that practice again here at home.